Hello and welcome. In today's video, we're focusing on Iran, a country that has captured global attention in recent weeks due to internal unrest, heightened tensions with the United States, and dramatic developments in its airspace and diplomatic posture. With protests raging, Iranian airspace briefly closed, then reopened, and world powers warning of serious repercussions, today we ask, what could come next? Let's break it all down. Iran recently closed its airspace for nearly 5 hours a move that surprised the world and caused significant flight disruptions. Airlines were forced to cancel, reroute, or delay flights as authorities cited security concerns amid fear of possible military action. However, Iranian skies have reopened and flights are now operating again. While that may seem like a return to normalcy, analysts say this was a dramatic one, that Tehran feels threatened and wants to assert control. Behind these events is the backdrop of ongoing tensions with the United States. US-Iran relations are at a particularly tense point. American officials at the United Nations Security Council renewed warnings, stating that all options are on the table, a phrase that usually implies military, economic, or diplomatic pressure. At the same time, the Trump administration has signaled evolving positions from threats of force in response to Tehran's crackdown on protests to more cautious tones in recent statements. Some reports indicate that Trump was told that mass executions of protesters were halted, easing immediate pressure. But the breakdown in direct communication between top US and Iranian diplomatic channels earlier this week could complicate matters. Reports indicate that official contact has reportedly been suspended amid the escalating crisis. None of this exists in a vacuum. Iran has been rocked by nationwide protests that began last December, driven by economic hardship, frustration with the government, and broader calls for change. The government's security forces have responded with force, and human rights groups report thousands of deaths and arrests. This domestic crisis has become a catalyst for international involvement and pressures. Many nations and human rights organizations have condemned the violence, with some pushing for sanctions. The international reaction has been intense. Gulf states such as Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Oman, and Turkey have publicly urged restraint, warning against any US strikes on Iran due to the risk of wider conflict. Their influence may be part of why the former US president has held back from immediate military action. Arab governments now also believe the tensions have somewhat de-escalated, crediting diplomatic efforts and regional warnings against military confrontation. Meanwhile, major powers, including those with strategic interests in the Middle East, remain on alert. Despite diplomatic efforts, military readiness has been rising. Reports indicate that the US is repositioning a carrier strike group to the Middle East under its Central Command area to respond if needed, a clear sign Washington is taking the Iranian situation seriously. At the same time, some Western nations have evacuated personnel from bases in the region, and governments have urged their citizens to leave Iran due to safety concerns. These movements underscore that while immediate conflict may be off the table for now, the risk isn't gone. Beyond politics and security, these tensions affect global markets. Oil prices spiked on news of airspace closures, heightened regional alert levels, and fears of supply disruptions. But recent airspace reopening and signs of de-escalation have caused some volatility. Analysts warn that renewed conflict could push prices even higher. So looking forward, what could come next? First, diplomacy or breakdown. Efforts by Gulf states and others could lead to renewed indirect talks or negotiations. If diplomatic channels reopen, tensions may continue to ease. Second, economic pressure intensifies. If sanctions expand further, economic stress could push Iran toward concessions or heightened internal instability. Third, missteps remain possible. The environment is volatile. A misinterpreted military movement, miscommunication, or domestic unrest event could escalate tensions unexpectedly. Finally, internal change in Iran. The ongoing protests and their suppression create internal pressure that could redefine Tehran's foreign policy posture. Right now, all eyes are on Iran. The reopening of its airspace may have eased immediate fears, but the underlying tensions, political, economic, and diplomatic, remain intense. The world watches closely for the next development and will continue to bring updates as this situation unfolds. If you found this video insightful, make sure to like, subscribe, and click the bell icon for live updates.